If you don't have a way to make sure things get done or work on the things you need to, nothing I'm ever going to tell you on this podcast or in person at an event will be helpful. It's the exact same concept of information without application is absolutely useless. Welcome back to another episode of the Elite Business Advice Podcast. My name is Chris Moore, the founder of Elite Business Advisors, your host here for the podcast. We're kicking off a brand new series today called Back to the Basics. As we get further into 2026, we're already 3 weeks into it, depending on when you're listening to this. It's never a bad time to focus back on some of the fundamental things and the basics in your business. One thing we find is a stumbling block sometimes as we coach clients or even just have discussions with people throughout the industry is a lack of organization in GSD, getting stuff done, right? We can give the best advice and the best processes and literally give you the roadmap to how to run your business. But if there's no way to ensure it happens, what good is it, right? Everybody always talks about like, oh, I really want to do this. And as I talked on some previous episodes, probably within the last couple of months, it's great to want to do something, but if there's no method in how you're going to actually do it, what's the point? Okay, so today we're going to talk about to-dos, rhythms for your to-dos, as in what should you do at what frequency in your business to create this habit and this system of just making sure that things get done. But another big thing is how do we break down big projects into actionable chunks to avoid overwhelm and make sure that you follow through on the things you know you need to be doing in your business. So I hope it helps. Thanks for plugging in. This is the Elite Business Advice Podcast. All right, so I just want to start out with the foundational piece here of building a system to make sure you get everything done that you need to get done in your day-to-day life and in your business. What does that look like? It's different for everybody, right? I'm going to share what works well for me. I'm going to share what's worked for other people, and you're going to have to experiment and try and figure out what makes the most sense for you. For me personally, I'm a digital person. I like digital for two reasons. One, I don't like things that occupy a lot of unnecessary space, aka paper and notebooks and a lot of things. Number two, ease of access. I started doing a digital planner this year that I can get to from my iPad, from my phone, from my MacBook if I need to. And that's where I do a lot of my goal setting and like my habit tracking and like that type of stuff. I don't use it necessarily for the calendar piece, but more for just like goal setting and yearly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, all that stuff. I had a physical one the last 2 to 3 years, and I can't tell you how many times I wish on Sunday that I had it with me because it was at the office because I didn't take it everywhere, right? So for me, I'm a digital person. I like to have things digitally. I like the ease of access. If I'm on my phone, I'm somewhere, I need to get to it, I can. That's my personal thing, right? And so I want to kind of share, like, number one, how do we make sure that you have a way to detail and list things out that need to get done? So for me, there's an app called Trello. I love utilizing Trello for this. You can use Trello for project management. We utilize it for some of the bookkeeping and tax stuff that we do here. We also use it as project management for like our retreat. That's where we store all the information, who's speaking, what topics, attendance list, things we need to order. Like it is our project management list. That's what actually Trello was made for. But a lot of people, and myself included, figure out how to make Trello a functional to-do list in there. And so, with Trello, and I still use the free version, by the way. So anybody listen to this, if you look at Trello, I don't pay for it. There's some stuff I'm going to start looking into to see if it can make sense they've got more automations and stuff built into it now with tech. But it works great for me. I have a weekly template that kind of has all these rhythms I'm going to share here in a second for me and my business and my responsibilities. And every week I just make a copy of that template and then I add to it from there, right? And that is my system to do stuff. I look at Trello multiple times a day, 10 times a day probably. And I like it because you can make notes in the cards, you can make checklists. So I've actually built cards being like on the list the actual to-do items. I've actually built SOPs into those templates, right? So every week, whenever I make our podcast and I edit it, there's 5 things that need done. It's a 5-step process. I need to edit the actual video and audio file. I need to upload the audio file to the Buzzsprout platform. I need to upload the video to our YouTube channel. I need to upload both of those to a Google Drive folder to send over to PCA. And then step 5, I need to email the description over to, I just have it built into it, right? So it's a checklist. Every week when I make a copy of it, my checklist SOP of what I need to do every time I produce our podcast is right there, okay? So anyways, I'm getting off a little bit too much detail here, but find something that works for you. Trello works great for me. I love it. I'm always happy to chat and share more about it. Some people love a paper to-do list, right? Or again, on my digital planner, you could have a daily paper, it's digital. You could have your to-do list built into there, right? A lot of people I know will utilize the reminders in the MacBook, phone, iPad ecosystem. Or whatever Android people do with their lives there. So there's things that you can utilize with this, right? I guess you need to figure out, are you a digital person? Are you a paper person? And again, what does that look like? And so step 1 is just having a place, right? This is a place that you don't just put to-dos on and then you never check it. This is something that you're going to check, every morning before you leave the house, throughout the day, into the day. You're constantly adding to it. You're updating it. It needs to be something that is going to be your single source of truth, right? It's almost a Bible for your to-do list, if I'm being honest. So, on this note, right, it's great. We have to have the system. We have to have the habit of checking the system. But one thing that we've realized that some people really need to understand is knowing what needs done at what frequency in your business. And this is where you're going to kind of create your own rhythms, your own habits, if you will, your own understanding of what needs done when in your business. But I wanted to share some examples here because this is a question I get a lot, right? I get a lot of questions around one being job costing, right? My favorite thing. How often do I job cost? And I think it depends on how many jobs are you turning over, right? What does your schedule look like? For me, when I had my painting company, I job costed every project, every time that it was done, right? Every time it was done and we got paid, or it was done and, we were about to get paid for it, I job costed it. A lot of times I was doing it beforehand because I was antsy and wanted to know where I thought we were going to finish at. But for me, it was just every day. I was in our profit sheet every single day, our job costing sheet, and whatever, as soon as something was done, I was costing it. Maybe that's not realistic for some of you. If you're turning over 10 jobs a week, maybe doing it every day doesn't make sense. Maybe it does. It depends on your tech as well. But I would say at minimum, at least once a week, right? At least once a week, you should job cost everything that was finished over the last week, and at least stay up with it. This isn't a once a month thing. Job costing needs to be done at least weekly, if not multiple times throughout the week, right? Maybe it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, however you want to build that system together. Again, if you're using one of our favorites, Busy, where it just tells you the labor cost, you don't have to do a lot of work to get it. Doing it every time a job finishes is probably pretty easy. If you're using QuickBooks Time and you have to export reports and you have to do all this stuff to figure out how many hours each employee worked on each job, maybe you need to just it's quicker to maybe just batch that into a once a week update, right? I'm speaking from experience because I've done this for a lot of our clients in a lot of different ways and how we've had to do it. So, cash flow sheet, money management, right? So understanding your payables and receivables, understanding moving your money around, whether it's moving for tax savings, deposit account, paying bills, paying subs, running payroll, whatever that is, right? I think 3 times a week is a great frequency. I always go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday is a great time to catch up from over the weekend. Friday is a great time to kind of wrap up the week, make sure everything's on track. Wednesday is kind of a good middle ground between there. So I would recommend 3 times a week. You are doing that. If you want to do it every day, great. Maybe if you just nothing else, you need to check it every day. Fantastic. But for me, 3 times a week is a great frequency to just manage the money and be in the know on your payables, your receivables, your bank balance, your credit card balance, all that fun stuff. Another thing that needs to be in this rhythm and this system is checking in on your project scheduling and communicating it with your homeowners. We over-communicated every job. My favorite compliment in the world was when a homeowner would tell me, "Hey, Chris, you can just probably reach out 2 weeks before you're going to be here. Don't need to keep checking in the meantime." Cool. that means we are doing our job, right? Not because they were annoyed, but because they knew that I had my ish together, because I had a system to get stuff done that gave them confidence that I wasn't going to forget about their project, right? Did you know that's, I think, homeowners' number one fear and how the project ends up going is based on how well you communicate between when they give you the commitment and when you show up at their house. That confidence window sets the tone for the project. And I figured that out many years ago. And so we would communicate. Our rule was we would check in every 10 to 14 days up until we were about 30 days out from the project, right? So a lot of times we booked out 8 weeks pretty consistently year round. We were super blessed and thankful with that. And so like that first month or so, I just like a couple check-ins. Hey, just letting you know, we're still on track for, end of March. I'll touch base here as we get closer to early March, and then we'll check in weekly, from there. So once we had inside 30 days, it was weekly check-in. Once we got within inside a week, it was like an every other day frequency. And again, not phone call, full-blown 15-minute conversation, even if it's just quick text. Hey, we're still on track for next Wednesday. Hey, just checking in, letting you know we got a little behind. We might actually be looking at Thursday, whatever it is, right? Whatever those updates are. And so for me, scheduling, check, and communication was a daily thing. I had a way to log and track who I talked to, when was the last time I talked to them. I'd see all that right there in our CRM. And so I would check in with people, update our schedule, tweak things, communicate as needed. Communication I tried to do like once a week, again, except for maybe those that we were within a week or two of. So that was also my time too, by the way, why I liked doing it daily was like, what colors do I need to get from people? What materials do we need to order? It was kind of my project management time as well. I kind of wrapped all that in together on a daily check-in. You could probably get by 3 times a week with that, obviously tweaking the schedule in real time as you need to, especially for real short upcoming things. So social media content, shooting, editing, scheduling, posting, whatever that is, whatever your responsibility is in that, this needs to be done. You need to be posting 3 times a week. 4 is ideal, at least 3 times, bare minimum twice a week. Okay. So this needs to go on your calendar. What days are you posting? Again, or your system here. I have a couple of check-ins on ours. Our media team takes care of the actual posting stuff for us. But on Wednesdays, I have a reminder to shoot the content that I need to shoot for the upcoming, I always try to say 2 weeks ahead for them, so they have time to edit and do everything and I can proof it. And then twice a week in my calendar on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have a to-do list on there to just spend time to get on and engage on the platform. Because that's a big thing, right? If you have somebody taken care of organically posting for you, we still need to be interacting. We still need to do stuff. I try to keep up with comments and DMs in real time as they happen. But at minimum, I try to spend 15 to 20 minutes twice a week on the platform, just interacting with stuff, commenting on things, being engaging, all that fun stuff, because it helps the algorithm. And it's amazing what's happened since I started doing that, right? So for you need to have your posting on there. You need to have your editing, your scheduling, whatever it is, however you need to build that system for you in your to-do list. Otherwise, you're going to tell me, man, I really want to post 3 times a week this year. And it's going to be March 7th. I'm going to look at your profile and you probably posted twice. So put it on your to-do list. A couple other thoughts. Monthly value add email. This is a once a month task in my Trello board. I have just a list that says monthly things. And it's things like doing the value add email, doing my month end numbers. I'll talk more about that in a second. Some stuff we do for some of our clients once a month as well, that I just every week when I create that copy, I look at it and it's like, does any of this need done this week, right? And so doing a monthly value add email, this needs to go in your calendar or in your system to make sure it gets done. What I truthfully do, if you want to know the detail I have behind this system that I've created, is I have my weekly Trello. It's broken down by day. I didn't mention that earlier. So I have a Monday, a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday list, and each of those have the to-dos under each day. I try to stack it on the days I have. Usually I try to keep Mondays a little bit lighter. Tuesdays and Thursdays seem to be my really heavy meeting days, so I put a little less to-dos on those. Where I was going with this is I use my calendar for bigger picture planning, and every week when I make that copy of that Trello board, I go to my calendar and add things into Trello. So Every 4 weeks, I just have a repeating calendar event set up in there to do our monthly value add email. Every 4 weeks, I have a reminder set up. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Every year, I have a reminder set up mid-January to send out our 1099s. Like, I built systems into my calendar with repeating events. I have a event alert every morning at 6:30 to text John McFarland, tell him how I'm doing in my health and fitness stuff. If you heard last week's episode, you heard the story behind that. John and I have texted every day for 9 days in a row as of recording this. And it's amazing just the little wins that we both already had, and some decisions we made in a good way because we have this going, right? So it's just, I'm just building systems, right? I put a reminder every Friday to remind myself to weigh in at 6 a.m. in the morning before I eat breakfast. So use your calendar. Use repeating alerts, right? There's things that happen. Guess what? If you want to make quarterly payments for your estimated taxes, put it in your calendar, put it on repeating, right? It's the same dates every year when those payments need to be made by. So just build systems into your calendar too. And then again, you can always transition them into your paper to do, your Trello board, your reminders list, like the actual tangible things whenever they pop up. So little extra life hack for you. 2 other things that need to have a frequency. Goal setting and review. I think it's a great thing to look at your goals daily for the week, the month, the quarter, annually, but at least your weekly, monthly, and quarterly stuff. It reinforces into your brain. A lot of people will set goals and then never revisit them. One of my mentors, Dan Martell, his 5 daily non-negotiables, one of those is review your goals. I think it's multiple times a day, but at minimum once a day, in my opinion. So how often are you sitting down doing that? Every Monday, I sit down and I make 3 goals for the week. I revisit our progress on our monthly goals and our quarterly goals. Are we on track? Are we not off track? Do I need to pivot? Do one of these 3 goals this week need to make sure, like, be tweaked to hit and align with those monthly and quarterly goals? But for me, it's one of those, like, if these are the only 3 things I get done this week, it's a successful week, right? It's not, it'd be really nice to do this. It's like, hey, this is my intentionality, and I need to make sure that everything on here is in my to-do list to follow through on. Because I've been guilty of that. I've been like, oh yeah, I want to do this. I want to update. We're in the middle of updating some of our messaging and marketing and branding and website and stuff. And so I've literally, that happened like 2 weeks ago. I was like, had this kind of goal that I wanted to accomplish for the month. And then I realized, like, at no point was it on my to-do list to work on it, right? And so, again, I'm still learning and growing in this myself. The last thing I mentioned a second ago, month-end numbers, right? Once your month's done, it's categorized in QuickBooks. It's able to be looked at, right? Like looking at what was our overhead, what was everything after the job costing gross profit, right? Our overhead, our salaries, our owner's pay, our tax savings, like how much money did the company make? That needs to be on your to-do list once a month at least. Doing a quick P&L review of all your expenses for the previous month for awareness, going back to last week's episode, is a huge thing. So I want to wrap up with a couple thoughts here. One thing is, how do we take large projects, large things that we want to accomplish and break it down into more manageable pieces, okay? And it's really just stopping and thinking, what are the steps necessary to accomplish this? And I say this because I see a lot of clients, I see a lot of people in this industry. You want to make changes in your business, but sometimes it's big projects, right? One of the things we come across this a lot because of what we believe and advise on is doing estimates on the spot. And by the way, never had anybody regret or say they hate doing estimates on the spot. They always wish, man, I wish we would have done this so much sooner. So I love the feedback on that. I'm not just crazy, dying on that hill. So doing estimates on the spot, that can be intimidating. If you stop and you say, man, I really want to do estimates on the spot, that's not just something you go and just do tomorrow. Maybe it is because you have these things together that I'm going to share, but it can be a lot. And because it's a lot and because it's intimidating and because it's unknown, you don't do it. Okay. So how do we stop and say, okay, what are the actionable steps that I need in order to do estimates on the spot? And so the 5 I came up with is, number 1, we have to know our production rates. Okay. We have to know what is our production rates. What are we going to use for that? Where do we get that from? Either, our clients get access to what we have put together. PCA has the industry cost. I forget what the name of it is, but it's the industry benchmarks, basically, cost estimating guide, I think. Wow, my mind's blanking out. Sorry, Jill, if you hear that. I couldn't remember the name of it. Step 2 is we need to figure out how are we going to take our numbers and our notes at the estimate. Okay, instead of just showing up and taking pictures and going back and working on the bid, how are we actually going to quickly, confidently, and accurately put the system in place to put our numbers together? You have to know your production rates first to where then you can put the numbers together. Whether you're utilizing our favorite software, Paint Scout, for this, kind of natively ingrained into the software and estimate creation. We have a Google Sheet that all of our clients get access to as part of our kind of estimating system as well if they aren't using Paint Scout. But whatever it is, or you're doing it on paper, okay? But we need to get comfortable with how are we going to quickly, confidently take our numbers based on the production rates in step 1, okay? Number 3, what's the tech look like for the on-the-spot presentation? I love an iPad to be able to do it. Laptop works great too. If you don't have either, great. Step 3, get the tech, get used to it. Step 4 is practice presentations on your friends and family. Step 5 is go freaking do it, okay? You're going to look at that and you're like, wow, estimates on the spot's a lot. Great. Maybe this is a 6-week or 3-month thing that you spread out. Hey, we're going to spend 2 weeks working on our production rates. That needs to go on your to-do list and time block out time in your calendar for it. Maybe you're going to spend 2 weeks getting used to utilizing Paint Scout to put the bids together and the numbers together. And maybe you even just go do estimates. You get all this together. You put the numbers together. Maybe you don't write it up and present it yet, right? Maybe that's like a good baby step. Like, hey, we're going to get all our numbers together while we're here. I just need to go back and finish the finishing touches, email it over, and then get used to the presentation, right? So you're going to break that down into some steps. And so when you have big daunting things, figure out how to break it down. I mentioned briefly here before as we wrap this up about time blocking. I think this is key, and I think this is one area a lot of people struggle in, and it can be hard. And we're going to talk more next week about honoring your calendar as part of the back to basics. But I think that's something I want to plant a seed in, is like making sure again that you're setting yourself up for success with your to-do list and your schedule, and not trying to get 100 things done in a day that you have 0 time to be in the office. You're just going to set yourself up for failure. It's going to reinforce negativity. You're going to start talking negative about yourself. Bad idea. Okay. Be very strategic in how you schedule your to-dos and your calendar and how it all integrates together. Because unfortunately, you will start to tell yourself a negative story, even if it's not true. Okay. So just as a synopsis, if you don't have a way to make sure things get done or work on the things you need to, nothing I'm ever going to tell you on this podcast or in person at an event will be helpful. It's the exact same concept of information without application is absolutely useless. You can consume 100 books, and if you don't do anything behind it, it was borderline a waste of time. And this is the exact same thing. Absorbing information, knowing and hearing what you need to do in your business without a system to follow through and make sure it happens is just as useless. Thanks for plugging into this week's episode. I hope you're able to take a few nuggets away from it to implement into your business. Remember, knowledge without implementation is useless. If you're curious about what we do and how we help painting contractors all over North America, schedule a free business analysis meeting with us at www.elitebusinessadvisors.com. Our entire team of advisors have ran and managed painting companies just like myself and are here to help support you on your journey. We have packages available for contractors at every stage of business, from flying solo and just starting out, all the way to multi-million-dollar businesses. And lastly, if you loved this episode, please leave us a rating and a review. It helps others on the platform find our podcast, and it could be the best blessing that's ever happened to them thanks to you. Thanks for plugging in, and we'll see you back for next week's episode.